or $15 an hour, where, you know, and they're goofing off, it's we put two people in charge of one job, or if you can get one person to do at least one and a half person's jobs.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, a third is kind of what we go for as well. We're really looking at that. When you think about a third, when you're inside of, if we just talk about labor, when you talk about management and then also like employees behind the management, and what is the percentage inside of that 30% or 33% that should be to managers versus hourly labor or salary labor behind that? And then you have taxes, right? So there's always that little buffer too, because probably in my world, I'm probably paying 5% to 6% in taxes.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes. I
so,
think I kind of look at mine and I look at all of these. And again, with me being the accountant, I look at data points like crazy, right? So I look at, every week or every month or whatever period I'm looking at. I look at job costing and I look at it just employees, where they job costed for their, gross number.
right,
And then what is that now if I add, what the taxes that I'm having to pay on it? Obviously, it goes up.
right.
Um, and then I kind of sometimes, well, not sometimes, I will bifurcate it. So I'll have just employees and then I'll have management and then I'll have a blended,
Mm-hmm.
see, and it fluctuates a little bit. So you can't look at it too often and too
Right,
quickly. But if you wait 6 months, you've also looked at it and put yourself in a little bit of a hole because you need to have that story behind it to be able to adapt and make slight changes to keep things from getting out of whack. Um, so, so that's kind of what I do is I try, for me, I found it honestly to be very hard to stay in that, 30 to 33%.
well, good.
Um,
I
so
feel
yeah,
better.
I mean it's just with the costs of everything and I think the hardest part is we have to react yesterday to what we're paying employees. So if I see literally a billboard of McDonald's and they changed it on the first to the second from we're going to pay $12 to we're going to pay $16, which happens sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
then overnight my mind has to change, because
Yeah.
otherwise we're just going to go all over there. So with that, I think this is where the different industries come in. For your industry, now there's other costs involved because if you change your pizza by $1, you've got a whole new menu to print up,
Right.
right? So, but operationally, you could say, I got to start paying overnight, so I got to charge, $1 more for that pizza.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of it is people are afraid to raise their costs to match what they're paying. So
Right.
then that not raising the cost raises your job costing. Um, but sometimes like for myself, it's I can't make the adjustment on the labor or price increase for customers. I can't make it quick enough sometimes.
Yeah.
And if I'm having to reach out to all the customers and tell them, hey, your price is going up again. Hey, your price is going up again. Then you have people that kind of get irritated with that and they
Right.
walk away from your service. So
Well, let's
it,
face it, there's not a single vendor right now where the price is going down.
no,
I mean, we talked a little bit about that earlier, where there's only so many things that you can control. I mean, my trash is not going down, my electricity is not going down, my phone bill is not going down, my cable bill is not going down, my insurance bill is not going down. I don't, I'm sure you've got a laundry list you can add to that. Um, and it's not going down for the end consumer, my customer either, and or your customer. And it's not it's hard to swallow as well. But there is a cost to doing business, and there's a cost to buying a service or a good. And everything is getting is I think we're kind of plateaued a little bit, but nothing's going down.
no, not at all. And I
Nothing's
think,
going down.
there's small things that, how do you incentivize your employees and how do you pass along costs? Maybe that's the best way I can say that without making the consumer just feel like, you know, in the consumer's mind, every time we raise the dollar, we as business owners are getting that much more rich, right? They don't
Right.
necessarily, the understanding isn't always there that, you know, we're getting an extra dollar, but we're paying an extra four, you know,
Right.
so, um, but, you know, one thing that I'm in the process now with some systems getting it done, but I started towards latter half of the year was, um, being able to introduce, so you know, with my service, it's not, you know, the same kind of as how yours is, where you get your pizza and then you have a receipt that you can tip on right there.
Right.
Mine's not always been that easy. So part of what we were able to do is incorporate an app that now the consumer is able to, as they're, you know, leaving a review or something like that, well, then they can, with that review, leave a tip.
Right.
And I personally, you know, I was hesitant to even open that out because, you know, again, I'm a consumer and I try to always think like that consumer, not just, you know, from just the business. And would I get annoyed if somebody came to me? Everybody's asking for more money, everybody's asking for tipping. But what I saw is an incredible amount of tips
Right.
that the employees, which that in and of itself makes those employees, you know, whether it's $1 or $100, that employee feels I did something well. I'm
Right.
appreciated, right? And that is what keeps them with our businesses.
Right.
So, you know, there's that aspect.
Well,
One
it's
of
kind
the
of like a
other,
life. I mean, is it also too, it's a little bit of a lifestyle shift from, I don't care if it's $10 that they get to walk into the next shift, you know, like shoot, $10. And it came from your business, no matter how you cut it. So it's not, I know it came from your customers, but it did come from your business. And it's a little bit, I've been talking with a friend of mine about like lifestyle raises. And it makes me chuckle a little bit because I'm like, there's how, I don't know how in the world I can always improve my employees' lifestyle, but maybe there's some things, and maybe it's not monetary, but maybe there's some lifestyle changes that you can incorporate. And I know it, like when you've got boots on the ground, you know, it's a little bit more difficult. But maybe it's their scheduling practices, or I don't know, but lifestyle raises has been something that's been really talked about a lot lately.
I think where you're at is what I try and have the conversations with my managers when they're creating all of this. You know, it's a behavior that we want to influence. So if you can change an employee's mindset to, hey, you're tired on a Tuesday. If you just skip work on a Tuesday, you know, now you're not only missing, we'll say, you know, round numbers here, you're not only missing $100 that you were going to get in pay from me, but you're going to miss a tip from three different, you know, clients that you were going to go to. You're going to miss that tip. So you're really missing an extra, we'll say, $140. You know, one thing that I've always tried to do and I continue to do is Google reviews make our businesses run, right? They're hugely important. So what I always try to do is if you can do your job well enough where we don't just get an internal feedback, but we get someone who enjoyed our service enough that they're going to spend their time and effort and they're going to put a Google review out there for us, there's a bonus tied to that and you're going to get that bonus. You're not going to have the opportunity to get the bonus or a tip if you're not here that day.
Right.
So whenever you're waking up in the morning and you're, man, I'm tired, I just don't want to go today, have that in your mind. You can double your income
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, a lot of times really by doing the job.
We focus on those Google reviews too. And I sometimes I feel like a grade school teacher when I do it, but it is amazing what just a little bit of positive reinforcement does. And we have a system that will allow you to, like, I think it does like a voice to text on the
Mhm.
reviews. And then and then we have a system that scans, basically web scrapes, you know, Google and social media and things like that. And my employees, every Monday I get a report and I'll have 5 or 6 reviews on it. Hopefully they're all good. And then it also gives the bad too. And I put them on our office door. I highlight them. I, you know, like make little bubble marks, and I, you know, and people love reading that, and they look for their name. They hope they get their name. And even the back of the house is like, oh, I was here that night. Like, yeah, I remember that party. Or, you know, when someone will go out and really do that. But a lot of it, you kind of have to ask the customer to do it, and
Mhm.
and they'll do it, but it is very important. And we just posted one up yesterday, and it's funny how like the voice to text always changes. So a lot of the names, like the other day I think we had like a Neil, and we're all like, who's Neil? We don't have a Neil that works for us, but Neil got a great review, Neil. I don't even know who it could have been. And so, but those are even some of the things that we focus on. But I've run contests with my employees too, where we incentivize them at the end of the month. Whoever's got the most mentions, $200 gift card, $100 gift card, and that really goes over well. And we do a lot of trades with other restaurants, and because I can give gift cards to my restaurant all day long, but I mean, you know how much pizza my people are eating? Like they don't want another slice of pizza, and I don't know if I do either. But you know what? If I give them a slice of pizza from a competing brand, they might actually be more interested in that. And so, yeah, so those lifestyle changes or lifestyle raises is something that I'm trying to figure out. And it's difficult when it takes your body and it takes your feet on the ground to do the job. It's not like you can do a work from home type of scenario, but there are some little things that you can do. Maybe changing the schedule for 412s or 410s, or so
It's hard because it takes a lot of communication, but it takes communication and working together with your client and your management staff and your employee. But we're going out to people's houses. So we have a lot of clients that I want to be the first clean, or I have to be at this time, or things like that.
yeah,
It makes a huge difference to all of the above if we're able to look at a schedule that day and say, okay, I know this client wants to be first, but my employee lives here, the office is here, so they're going to be coming here. Let's make them be second because there's a client in between there. And Mr. Smith, we know you want to be at 9 a.m., but really it's going to be about 10:30, right? It's only going to be an hour and a half difference. And maybe Mr. Smith's not even working from home or at home, so it's like takes that good communication, doing that, and that's one of those little things, but saving a little bit of drive time, even though we're paying for drive time, our employees, for me, they signed up to be a house cleaner. They didn't sign
right.
up to be a driver. So even
Driver,
if they're
yeah,
getting paid the same, they want to spend as little time driving and as much time in a home cleaning, being able to feel like they're making a difference for that client versus just driving all around the city,
right,
right? And that's where if we with good communication build that in, the more time I have them in a home, the better my job costing is going to be because that's revenue producing versus driving around. The more they're in a home, employee is going to be happier because they're making the difference. They're doing what their job is. As long as there's good communication with the client, and we can, sometimes it's, hey, Mr. Smith, we're going to be there at 10:30 instead of 9. And then that's all it takes because Mr. Smith now knows, oh, I should expect them to be here at that time. Other time we have to kind of massage it in and build that understanding with the client to, I'm doing everything I can to keep your cost at the best price. Doing that
yeah,
is by doing this small thing. So if you have to be at 9 o'clock, eventually that's going to cause our costs to rise and we're going to have to charge more because we're driving here and then back. And, it's causing uh, some employee turnover by,
yeah,
and small little things are what cause employee turnover. So again, it goes back to that conversation and that, education, letting clients know, like, let's do this together and you will have the same um, group of cleaning professionals there all the time because they enjoy that. They feel part of it. They don't just feel like they're being used by be here at whatever time I tell you, you
right.
know, oh yeah, we're all working together to solve an end goal.
Right. And I think communication is important and just being very transparent sometimes, I think what we both do, it's completely separate industries, but when we're serving, right? We're serving the general market, we're providing a service that otherwise doesn't have to be performed, right? You can eat at home, you can clean your own house. I was at a Christmas party this weekend and I was talking to someone's mom, and she was talking about like gosh, like it must be like you're so busy. Like, for example, I paid somebody to wrap my kids' Christmas presents